I have the lentil burger patties that I made yesterday. I called these rustic Egyptian lentil patties. They have sumac in it. They've got daca in it. We made them on the live. I will link that below after this video. But you can go back on my YouTube page and find it. We're going to make hamburgers today. Also a sauce. Now, there are chia seeds in here. I'm trying to keep my omega-3s high from things like chia seed and flax oil. So I will be making like a lower fat dressing. There will be maybe some sesame seeds in it. But yeah, so let's get into this. So let me get this down here. We are going to first off move my blender across as we do that. So, oh, there's a couple of things I didn't grab out of the fridge. Let's see. Okay, so I want like a sweet chili oriental sauce. This oriental sauce will kind of go with the Egyptian theme here. We're just crossing cultural mixes here. So, okay, so first off, let's just chop this up roughly, and we're going to put it straight into the blender. I always like to get these edges as well, maybe a little rough chop. So we got some bell pepper that's going in there. Next, now this persimmon is not really ripe, so I may add some dates to this mix. You can use mango in this. So that would be about a cup of bell pepper. So this will be, yeah, this definitely needed to be riper. So we'll sweeten it with some dates. And as I said, if you're over in like America and you've got mangoes, use those. So those are in there. Okay, what are we doing next? So let's see. I've soaked some mushrooms here. So these were, I think, porcini mushrooms that were dried. And this was 7 grams of dried mushrooms. I'm just going to put these in here. So for more of a like umami type texture to our sauce. As I said, I wanted this a bit sweeter. I've got some dates here that are soaked. So we'll put in, for now, just 2 dates. Now see how sweet whatever the mango or persimmon you put in is. Okay, now I think I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of this is namashoyu. So if you can see that there, namashoyu. I'm going to just do 1/4 cup in here. Okay. That can go in there. I'm going to shake this up. This is apple cider vinegar. I'm going to do 1 generous tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. A little bit more because that isn't a true tablespoon. Okay. Next, there was a small piece of ginger I had here. It's only small. I'd say like, maybe like 1/3 of a thumb of ginger. I'm going to do a small clove of garlic. Oop, flinging things around here. We've got all that in. I was going to do just do I want to do that or not? Yeah, just a 1/2 teaspoon of miso as well. Maybe a teaspoon of miso here. Because we've already got the soy sauce in, but this adds umami flavor. And then I wanted to do, I'm keeping this low fat, but I know a lot of people like to use like tahini in this type of mix. So, hey Sky, how much flaxseed oil do you have per day? Plus other omega-3s? Great question, because omega-3s are literally saving my life. And omega-3 oil, which isn't in this recipe, is something I make sure I have a lot of each day. I was having about a tablespoon. This last 3 days, and I'm feeling amazing, I've probably been having about 5 tablespoons. Sometimes that feels too much. Like I will literally drizzle it over vegetables, dip vegetables in, put it over a salad. I would go anywhere from like 3 to 5 that's of the oil. Now, as for seeds, I am struggling with seeds. I can have small amounts. There's only a tablespoon in this recipe, so not much. I am going to put probably about a quarter of a cup of sesame seeds, which have no omega-3s in them. But because this sauce I'm not using a lot of on the burger, when I have my oil this afternoon, it'll be fine. I just can't have big amounts of omega-6 from like lots of nuts right now. If you can get in chia and flax, I would suggest you could do that. I am going to film a YouTube video of a full day of eating this week, and my last one went for an hour. So you will see everything I make, everything I eat, and you'll see how much flaxseed oil I use. Do know that, sorry, I should put this up here. Do know that with the flaxseed oil, it does vary per day. I would not start with like 5 tablespoons. You might feel a bit sick. I started out with 1 to 2. It's quite strong, but it has definitely helped me. So, hey, Tessa, let's get back to making these burgers. I was going to make these burgers with a flaxseed. I guess I could try it. I don't know how it's going to go. I could do this with a flaxseed oil. Let's try it. We're here now. We're talking about omegas. So I will use a flaxseed oil instead of using sesame seeds. And we will see how this goes. What have we got here? So I would do like a quarter of a cup of the oil. If I can open this. So we've just got flaxseed, fresh from the fridge. That's probably actually more like a 1/5 of a cup of oil, but I might add a little bit more. I do find the more oil I have, sometimes I can feel a little clogged up, but the less response I have with histamines. So it's like a little bit of a push and pull, and I assume I will not always need this much, but when trying to calm the system, I guess I'm having a higher amount. So, okay, so we've done a quarter of a cup of, I said a 1/5 of a cup of the oil in here, flaxseed oil. I possibly now could do a small amount of seeds. I'm worried it is going to turn into like when you use chia or flax, you can find that they get a little gel-like and not as, what would you say, not as nice as when you use some of the higher omega-6 seeds. But since we're trying to get omega-3s in, let's see how this goes. So we did a 1/5 of a cup of the flax oil, and I'm going to just do another tablespoon of the chia seed to try and thicken this up. What I actually might do is blend this. So there is no liquid in this, as in like water at this stage. Just soaked dates has a little bit of liquid, and the soaked mushrooms has a little bit of liquid. Move this out of the way. I will blitz this up, taste it, and we'll go from there and see how the sauce is. Yeah, chia seeds will quickly absorb water, so we will make this first and then see how we go. Whoop. So we really don't want to blend the oil too much, and I could have put it in towards the end, but we've kind of whipped that up. That's actually not a bad consistency at all for the sauce. Let me just try it. Oh, that's perfect. Oh my God. All I want to do now is put in heaped tables. That's really good, actually. So that has got flaxseed oil in it. Let me just do, these are crushed chili. You can use fresh, but I like the texture of this. I'm going to blitz these through. I get like a spice going on here. So I'm just going to do about a tablespoon. Is that a tablespoon? Well, we'll see. There. And we will not like completely crush these, but we'll just blitz this through. So this is like a okay, so this is like great for getting your omega-3s in. We've got the chia seeds in the burger patties, and we've got the flax oil in this recipe. Okay, let me see. That is perfect. Oh my God, that's really nice. It's like a sweet chili sauce. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to make these burgers. We've got the sauce. I might actually put the sauce into a little bottle to make it easier to squeeze out. So we will put this in here. Put it in like a squeezy bottle. You possibly could water this down as well to stretch it out if that is what you wanted, but because it has ended up thick. Whether you use persimmons or mango, it will make this nice and thick. That is so good. What do you think of Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol? She doesn't allow dates or almonds, but I find I feel good with them alongside fresh cruciferous salad. Okay. My really strong opinion, and as a coach, I preach this. No two people heal the same. If you come from a diet which was, you know, meats and processed food, and you get on medical medium or you get on Dr. Brooke Goldner or you get on 80-10-10, you of course are going to do a lot of healing. But even those people don't stay on those protocols forever. You'll find they reach out and they start learning new things from other people like myself. They might add things in which aren't on the protocol. And the biggest thing that healed me was finally letting go of reading what everybody else is doing and just intuitively doing what works for me. Now, I think I'm not telling you what to do, but the reason Dr. Brooke Goldner, I assume, would not be allowing dates is you could sit there and start eating dates for a meal. And I even know while doing this, I can't even really have coconut water at the moment, but that's just me learning that my body is not responding as well as it is for when I do, and I don't do her smoothies, I do green juices. I can't even put a lot of green apple in. I noticed that the sweetness takes over. Now, can you imagine giving out a free protocol and trying to teach people how to not over sweeten things? So you can tell that she's trying to keep the sugars really low, which definitely works. But if you have the confidence, and this is what I want everyone to have, and this is why I do what I do, have the confidence in the food choices you make and know when you've had too many dates. And like you're saying here, that you can have almonds. I bet you're not just sitting there all day eating almonds. And so giving out a free protocol, you can imagine her saying you can have almonds here, but not then. You can have a few here, but not then. It gets very complex. If you, like, as I said, I was going to make this whole meal and have, make it with quarter of a cup I was going to do of sesame seeds. Now, the amount of actual sesame seeds I'd be getting as I use this as a sauce wouldn't even be a tablespoon. You add a tablespoon of that across my whole day, and the other fat I'm getting is all omega-3s from 5 tablespoons of flax oil or 3, and that's equivalent to anywhere from half a cup to a full cup of flax or chia. So it's, if you're saying that almonds and dates work, I'm assuming, as I said, you're not sitting there with like a whole thing of almonds. Doing it as you come out of like an acute healing phase, you may notice you can do more almonds, or a day where it's very low on omega-3s and higher on almonds. Now, I don't want to speak for Dr. Brooke Goldner, but you can see what I'm saying. So if she says no dates are allowed, but you can use a banana, you know, a banana may sweeten, you know, a big jug, and it may be like someone may be able to use instead half a date or a date and get the same exact amount of sugar. I can see it can get really hard if you start going, you can have it here, but not here. So I think if you have found that omega-3s are helping, and a lot of the cruciferous vegetables help, and then you're still healing, I think that's power to you for listening to your body. What made you decide to cut back on fruit? So when I healed myself, there wasn't a lot of fruit. There was a lot of greens, a few nuts and seeds, a lot of avocado, veggies, a little bit of fermented food, and a couple pieces of fruit during the day. Then I was able to use my brain again and start reading what people are doing and noticing that the true path to apparently enlightenment, and people like Dr. Morse are saying fruit, 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 fruit. As I got higher up into the fruit, I got sicker. I got shingles. And then after that, I really was struggling to digest foods, especially the higher I got doing watermelon and grapes and having no greens. And now I'm only able to have watermelon thinking that I'm becoming like enlightened and that's the way. But technically, I'm not really using or strengthening my gut. I'm not building a microbiome. Then after I juiced, my iron went down. Like I healed anemia by myself without trying. And doctors could not do that. Even with meat, I'd have to have an infusion every 3 months up until a point of going raw. Then I got on fruit and needed an iron infusion. And even when I look back, I just don't look as healthy as I do with an abundance of food. Also, the whole time I did fruit, I never stopped thinking about veggies and greens and fats, but mostly like veggies and greens. When I do veggies and greens, I really don't think about fruit. So I think you can push through something, but if you go for years and years and you're needing, and it was about 2 years, and you're still thinking about foods, your body is needing something from those foods. Then after I came off the juices, and because a lot of people say, you've got to get, push on, I would just bring up the fruit. I would try eat fruit. It would taste so, so, so sweet. Remember, I'm missing my stomach, duodenum, and top of intestines. It was unlike anything I'd put in my mouth, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'd feel sick. And then if I keep trying to eat it, I just bring it back up. And I just crave green juices. And I still do. I crave veggies. And I've just noticed now it's taken me a while to get on to doing more cruciferous and more greens and more omega-3s. And I think it's because the body isn't running the same when you're running it off hydration of fruits. You have a system which has learnt to fuel, I don't know how this works exactly, but fuel itself with a high level of hydration from like watermelon and grapes. And you put in it flaxseed oil and cruciferous vegetables. No wonder people are in Brooke Goldner's group who were fruitarian and raw saying now all their symptoms have come back. It's like the whole system's going to clog up. Whereas you get people who are coming from like eating meat and preservatives, and they're like, oh, I feel so hydrated and so much better. It's taken me about a year, more than a year, to get to where I am, where I can have salt and not have a huge amount of problems and feel hydrated, get flaxseed oil in. Still not great with seeds and nuts, but I think the oil will help me slowly get them in. So once again, when you hear my story, the alertness or the awakeness is the same as everybody else, and why they leave certain protocols is what they're being told to do eventually doesn't work. And then when they find a new protocol or a new healing way, usually it has a majority of what the body is craving already. If not, if they start trying a protocol which is their body doesn't need fruit and it's high in fruit, you'll find they won't last very long. So we're kind of like, we're still like, just think about it. If we're out in nature and my body needed to heal and it was sleeping on the earth and it was grounded, it would not go to a book to figure out what it needed. I would assume I would crave dandelion, or I would crave rosemary. The next day, maybe some mangoes, and no one would question why I would be eating that way. And I probably would have never been, and none of us would be as sick doing my garden theory way. But we still have to apply those same principles when we view things on Instagram or in journals or on YouTube, that we're being drawn to certain foods. And I also noticed that all the people that I admired or looked up to as raw vegans were not eating fruit. They were eating literally an abundance of raw foods. And so my goal was always to get there. But it's interesting, like to me now, I'm still very intuitive, but I am very aware as well that omega-3s really help me. I already knew omega-3s helped me because when I was really sick, really sick, really sick, in and out of ICU, 37 kilograms, and I never put on any weight, barely ever felt good, is I was taking, this is morning, noon, and night, like 3 Primrose capsules, 3 vitamin E capsules, 3 to 4 omega-3 fish oil capsules. I wasn't onto plant-based at this stage. I was very chemically whatever. I do this 3 times a day, and I would get a lot of relief, not obviously to the point of like getting well, but I knew back then my body, there was something that really helped. And I do believe it's when you've got a lot of nerve damage that there's like, it's something like the body just stops probably making things like myelin sheath, and the myelin sheath in a lot of nerves get damaged. And if you force a lot of fat in, your body has an abundance to start rebuilding. And yeah, like I crave minerals like greens, veggies, and fats from like avocado, mostly avocado. I can't get a lot of avocado in at the moment. I'm having, since I put this cream on my skin, I had a bit of a histamine flare. But it used to crave a lot of avocado, and now it seems the omega-3, if I don't use it, as I said, after 7 days of not having it, had that massive flare, I started to notice that my thoughts are kind of toxic. I can get moody, and magnesium definitely helps for me. I'm able to get salt in and omega-3s. So from memory, I think you said you were bedbound in the post. Were you not able to walk or have balance issues? If so, did it improve your balance and walking? I have MS and balance issues and exercise. So when I say bedbound most of my life, so when I was 8, I got chicken pox. And then for the 3 years after that, I would get to school and fall asleep or collapse at my desk and be taken home. Then I would spend weeks in a bed. Sometimes I'd get up for a couple of days, back to bed, had my tonsils out, and I did really well for about 3 or 4 years in my teens. But a lot of that time, I was running around outdoors with no shoes on. I lived on the water, so I was in salt water all day, really natural type of living. Then when, I'm 16, 17, I'm not outdoors as much. I don't know if that's what it is, but I had a congenital disease, a second piece of uterus on nerves and ligaments on my back, and I was back to bed. And when I say back to bed, I mean, I could get through a couple of days of school, but every time I came home, I was either in bed, or I'd have days where I just missed school, all different types of symptoms. So I was in bed in that response, just with chronic pain. By the time it was year 12, I missed more than half a year. I was in bed. Then I went to uni, mostly in bed. Then I think I worked for about 4 years, but I would go to work, come home, go to bed, all weekend in bed, very rarely went out. Then after I lost my stomach, that was at about 24, 25, I then was basically bedridden. I could occasionally go to a wedding or something, and that was just chronic pain. There's a photo of me and you'll see me completely hunched over because I was just so much pain. Then I tried to come off, when they gave me a hysterectomy, I tried to come off all the medications. They had me on massive amounts of opioids. I don't know if you've ever broken a limb and they give you like 5 milligrams of what's called like endone or OxyContin. I was on 480 milligrams in the morning and night of OxyContin. My breakthrough was 60 milligrams of OxyContin. I also had a patch of 170 micrograms of fentanyl on my arm. I would be put into hospital on ketamine all the time in the cardiac unit for pain. I would have local anesthetic injected in my back, Botox injected in my back, surgery after surgery to try and relieve the pain, pethidine, morphine, everything to help with the pain. Then that all stopped and I started to come off the medication, and then I was basically vomiting all the time. And there was not as much pain as there was like nerve pain and stuff. Then I was about 35, 36, lost my memory and my mind, basically had no pain. You take away someone's memory, I guess you take away the memory of their pain. But remember, this period of time for about 6 years, they were trying to get me off medications, and every time I came off, I got sick. And then I was well-ish for about a year. I worked as a receptionist. I did some gym, would go to the gym, have a wine here and there, paleo, nuts, fruits. a meat dish at night. And then at the end of that year, I had shingles through the eye, FND. And this is where I couldn't walk or talk. And I think this is where you're talking about the balance and being bedridden. So it displayed like a stroke off and on. So sometimes you can't move for like 2 weeks, not even sleep. You just are like locked in would be a really good way to describe it. Then you come to and you have like these seizures and you'd like shake and tremble. You lose your voice and then your voice would come on and you just scream. And I do believe it's linked into my spiritual awakening, but also PTSD, which they said I had. They actually said that because I kept flopping over and they couldn't get me up and they'd pull me up and I'd flop over all the time. And they said the last time they'd seen this is like World War I after shell shock. But I had been through a lot by this stage. So my nerves burnt. And this, I think, falls into the mast cell activation. So they're giving me all these, trying different drugs. Nothing worked anymore. It just made me worse. And my nerves, and I was in so much pain and like locked in and reliving surgeries and my whole life. And then finally, I said this, finally they got me on some old medications, like so, because I was treated for ADHD with amphetamines. Now I couldn't stay awake. So they put me back on that with an antidepressant. It must have locked into part of my brain and I could get up and like read for small periods. Then I started drinking. This is when I started drinking to cope. And that is when my liver started to fail. My parents kicked me out and I got my own place. And that's when I ate the food raw. And what I noticed about this time is the less I had spices, fermented foods, anything dried, the more efficient my body was. But I think that feeds into the mast cell. So any advice to improve balance issues? I really think you have to listen to your body. When I first got well, eating very simply, and I think this is a good place to start, is get rid of everything, including these oils which have been processed, and try doing like avocado helped me, carrots, greens, some fruit, very little nuts and seeds. I got rid of them. I got rid of salt and pepper. And I'm not saying do this forever, but see how your body feels having nothing processed. You can try then adding things back and see how your body's affected. My body is definitely affected by things like miso and apple cider vinegar, but I've healed now. So they're helping me rebuild. At the start, it was too much. My system literally just wanted just purity. It didn't matter what it was. I mean, I was half near death. And I mean, most of the time I was eating celery and cucumber and a few carrots. That got me through the days. There was no fruit really, maybe a banana here and there or some berries, but they were just like a sweet treat. They were not, most of the day it was celery. It wasn't huge amounts of food. And I actually lost more weight when I first went raw, but I looked better. There was none of the puffiness or yellow eyes or falling over. But as soon as I had something too heavy, I couldn't get up. Like whether you call it FND, whether you call it nerve pain, I literally, chronic fatigue, I could not get up. And that's why I think in the depths of healing, you've got to get out of your body's way. It's not so much about nutrients. Your body, if your body's distressed, it won't absorb anything. It was literally about just how do I get some hydration back in lightly so I don't disrupt like a whole system. I do think my healing avocado for some reason just really helped me. I remember trying this. It almost knocked me out. It calmed me, but it was just my system couldn't process anything. So I would say go back to the bare fruits of like very simple, and it's not forever. Just see how your body feels without having anything that's been heavily processed. A bit of salt for me wasn't so bad. I just wanted to see how far I could go with it. But I would have like whatever I needed, just very fresh. If I wanted something with, I made things. And if you go to my website, all those recipes are based off simplicity. Even fresh garlic and ginger were fine as long as I didn't process it. Hey, Sky, I hope you're doing well. I've been raw for a few weeks, but I've been relying on too many nuts and avocado. Do you have any advice? I eat a ton of fruit as well. So my advice is when you first go raw is to stay raw. And whether that means you eat too many avocados and nuts, I don't think that's a problem. But remember, I did not eat a lot of fruit, and I don't know how much you're eating, because I do think there can be a problem like with having very sweet fruit and nuts. I was having more, as you can tell, celery and veggies, and then a bit of fruit, nuts and seeds. I found trying not to rely on nuts and seeds and doing avocado, dates, and bananas were really great for me. At the start, I just noticed my body didn't respond as well. It would now and again want a few nuts, but very quickly I just cut out nuts and used avocado. I never really wanted coconut. I would have allowed myself, but my body didn't want it as much. So I would try focusing on, if it was me, not so many nuts, fine with the avocado, fine with the fruit, fine with the dates, fine with the bananas, because that way you're focusing on like basically having the freshest of food at the start. And then if you need a tablespoon of nut butter or nuts, it's not so bad. Even Dr. Doug Graham says in his 80-10-10 book is the first 6 months are not going to look like the rest of your raw life. You're going to be relying on foods. But listen to your body. The biggest thing is listen to your body. If things are like, if you're like getting up and having fruit and then nuts and feeling terrible, but you can have fruit and then like maybe some dates and bananas and a bit of avocado and you don't feel so bad, listen to that. Okay, I've diverged here. So I know what you said. You take magnesium. What other vitamins do you take? Okay, let me keep doing this and I will answer this, or maybe answer some of them at the end. I don't take anything. I try not to take anything. I do get an injection of B12, but every time I do, it's off the charts. And I do take, what is it called? Nutritional yeast. I do have that randomly, but my doctor always says stop injecting it. But because I have no stomach, I used to have to inject it. He's like, you don't need it. You've got an abundance of it. So I don't know where it's coming from. I don't take vitamin D because I literally live in the sun. When I first had my first blood test after going raw, or a year later, they thought I was taking overdosing on vitamin D supplements because my vitamin D was so high. And I'm like, no, I literally live in the sun. So I go in the sun, but you can also put mushrooms out in the sun, and it will increase the vitamin D by 500%. Chris Kendall does it because he lives in very cold climate. So there's ways around getting more nutrients out of food. Hey, Jen, but I try to do things as simply as possible. Now, we are going to make a burger bun because we got the sauce here. Might need a bit of water if it doesn't come out. We've got the sauce going on here. We've got the patties. We see the patties? Patties, got the sauce. We want to make a bun. So let me get into the biggest thing, I think, is getting your body into balance with the least resistance. So for some other people, maybe it's vitamin D or zinc that their body just needs some help with. I think a lot of people are deficient in magnesium, but you want to get your balance back without disrupting too much of the body. So a lot of people can, you can't have a person who's just not eating any food, yet all they do is take, supplements. You'll find the body will just, it won't like it. You want the hydration from the foods. And then when you need to find your limit of how you have like supplements that your body really needs, and the best way to do that is see how your body responds when you take it. Okay, so to make this, I'm going to peel off this like dead outside. This is the bun. Okay. That bit gross. No, that's all right. Okay. Now I know some people are like really good at like, I'm not. So I'm just going to chop off the bottom here. Chop the bottom off. Ooh. Now we are going to cut down the middle here, down the core. So we've got half like that. And then we're going to do that again. Now, to make the bun, we're going to take the middle out. Well, it should be that easy, but apparently I didn't take enough of the stalk off. There's going to be a little bit of a slanty bun, but that's all right. We can make like a, oh, you can make like a salad bowl with this later. Okay. It's kind of, we want that. Maybe. Okay. There we go. Get that lettuce out of the way. So we're just taking out the middle here. And we've got like a bun going on here. And then, so not taking B12 freaks me out because many doctors say you can get permanent nerve damage. I agree. And also just, I spent having chronic fatigue. I literally spent like a lifetime in bed, and you get really fatigued. You can't process stress. Your mood goes off. And I'm so scared of all that. And I took injections for so long because I don't have the part of the stomach which apparently absorbs B12. So anytime they gave me B12 to take, it never did anything. Neither did iron. So that's why I always had to have injections. So we've got another bun. This is a big bun. This is a big bun. We're doing like, okay. Got like, is that going to be the top or the bottom? I don't know. I feel like I should have kept that. Oh, maybe because I cut the stalk off. Is that going to be, I'm trying to figure out what to do with the top or the bottom. Maybe we do the bigger one as the bottom. Okay. All right. So first off, maybe we put some, what are we doing? I've got some onion, lettuce, tomato. Very simple. You can do avocado. As I said, I had a histamine flare, so I've stayed away from it. You could do some pickles. Oh, let's put it on our plate, actually. Got this here. So you could put some, put whatever you want on it, really. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of sauce down the bottom because I'm a saucy girl. A saucy girl. Okay, see that sauce looks good. Oh, I was worried a few chunks might get caught because I've used, because I've got the, what is it called? The chili flakes. So I might just have to keep shaking it. There we go. Okay, so we want lots of sauce because that's my thing. How many are we going to put here? So we go 1, maybe just 2 for now. Or maybe, yeah, 3. So can you guys see that? Okay, next we're going to do, you don't have to do lettuce. I do a few extra greens like that. Now, ideally, you probably want like maybe too many greens. You probably want tomato slices, but I buy baby tomatoes. There you go. I have less of a histamine response to baby, anything sweeter. So anything too acidic tells me and my body that my histamine levels will go up. Most of the high histamine foods, not all, are quite acidic. And, you know, you've got things like, what is it? Pineapple, citrus is a histamine liberator. Tomato sets people off. But if you get sweet tomatoes, you can get less of a response. So then we're going to do some onions. Do some onion rings. Some pickles would be nice here, but this is all fine. Like that. Hey, Lisa. Yes, it is. Anything sweeter, except in the case of bananas. There's always like a clause, right? Bananas, and this is why a lot of humans prefer bananas not too sweet. So, you know, when people have the spotted bananas, they have higher histamines. The greener bananas or less ripe bananas have lower histamines. So, yeah. Okay. So this is like the burger here. And we're going to do another level of sauce. It's getting a bit stuck with those chili flakes, but we will survive. And I was trying to be aesthetic with this too, but it's not really. Hang on. Let me clean this out. Oh, there we go. Get one of these. Okay. There we go. There we go. I keep saying there we go, but it's not really going anywhere. Note to self, just pour this straight over next time. Okay, so can we see that? And now we're going to put the top on. Is this the top there? There we go. Look at that. That is one mega hamburger. Okay, I'm going to cut in half. And, whoa. Let's see. How's that going to look? There we go. Look at that. How cool does that hamburger look? Thank you. Should we try and get... Well, I've got some more. I'll take some photos later. I feel like I made a bit of a mess of that one. But let's try it. And get it in my mouth. Oh my gosh. Can I just say, those patties are so good. Oh my God, that's amazing. And they're nice and moist. I don't know if you can see. They're really good. That's good. It is really good. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Only because I said it, I think, in one of the groups. So no, I said it to someone in text. A huge thing that's helped me with my histamine issues is not overeat. I got onto this lifestyle and I was underweight. So I was like always trying to eat. And what I found is, like, eat, take a break. If I keep shoveling food in, I get problems. Even if it's just juices, which may not have many calories in it, I can get problems. So this is really, really good. So that's the live for today. I think there's a couple lives tomorrow. I know I'm doing a podcast with Kiko tomorrow. We do the ups and downs of raw podcast, and we're going to talk about money and raw foods, about the expenses of raw foods. We wanted to do a podcast on the reality. She's been high raw, mostly raw, for 20 years. I've been doing it for 4 years. And a lot of the time people think that as an influencer, we have it like nailed. Everything's perfect. And what you'll know is most influencers, that isn't the case. We're normal, just like everyone else. And it's like a journey. So we wanted to talk on like topics like that. And I think I have another podcast, but I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. But that will be a really cool one because I know a lot of people can struggle with like money and raw food. So we wanted to talk on how we do that. So I will go enjoy that. So Lisa's got her flaxseed oil. I'm glad you do. What I think flaxseed oil is good for is if you're really inflamed, you're inflamed everywhere. So your skin, your hair, you'll have issues with your gut, and you won't absorb chia and flax, which can be harder to absorb. So the oil can be good until you get to a stage where you can absorb them. Whenever I overeat, my chronic... Tessa, I'm putting this up on the screen. Me too. If I overeat, not only does my chronic fatigue come back, if I keep doing it and I get a really full belly, my FND, I just like start tipping over. I can't stand up. So that's really interesting. I think that's why this diet helps so many people with chronic fatigue. If you start eating like fruits and cucumbers and lighter food, you're already not putting as much stress on the body. So that's a huge one. All right. Also, I'm doing my lunch again, I think Thursday. But I will see you guys around. Thanks for joining. Bye.